committees.
And you can have it all with your membership in the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce.
This is Strictly Business, presented by the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce. Sponsored in part by the law offices of Young Wooldridge, San Joaquin Community Hospital.
And welcome back to Strictly Business. I'm Nathan Ollie, Manager of Government Affairs for the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce. And in our Spotlight segment this week, we have Lauren Smoot, formerly of the Chamber, but now she's with the Kern Citizens for Sustainable Government. And we're here to talk about why it's important for young professionals to understand how local government works. Thanks for coming, Lauren.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Oh, sure. So what are some reasons for why people our age, I guess, need to be more involved and engaged in local government?
So I absolutely hated the thought of government, especially going through college. I thought it was all politics. I thought it was all drama. And to me, government was just the president, Congress, Senate, and the bigger voices in Washington, D.C. I had no idea that local government really played a huge part in your local community. So actually being a part of the chamber really opened my eyes to seeing how your local government actually makes your community tick. And so I think it's extremely important that people, especially in their 20s, 30s, early 40s, start actually keeping a close watch on local government, on what their city council is doing, their board of supervisors, and especially if they're in an industry like in Kern County, oil, ag, healthcare, they have no idea probably that everyday decisions are being made that may affect their job.
Okay.
So there's definitely some big need for young professionals to keep a close watch on local politics and local government.
So talk a little bit about some specifics, maybe your organization or some other specific local groups that can help educate younger folks on politics and government.
Obviously the chamber's one. So
Right.
if you're in a certain industry, the chamber's going to kind of be able to help drive you in a direction of understanding what the industry will be affected by over the coming year in the election cycle. One group in particular is GRC. You know everything about GRC, Government Review Council. I think they are a great group to be a part of, no matter the age, no matter the industry, no matter your job. If you can take your Friday morning and go to GRC.
Those Friday mornings at 7:30 are a little rough.
They are rough, but they're very beneficial.
Right.
Other groups, if you want to get specific, you can always do the Young Republicans and the Young Democrat groups in town. Both are very active and have great leaders involved with them. And those are more party specific, but then also just keeping an eye on Twitter and Facebook and things like that, finding maybe politicians that you're interested in or even advocacy groups that you're feeling that you agree with more so, then those are the ones that you want to follow on Twitter and just keep a close watch on what they're posting and what they're asking you to look into, because usually it's going to be something that you're interested in.
Okay. So young professionals, we certainly like to socialize, right? But what how does networking benefit your local government education?
Yeah. I think by being a part of some of the networking groups in town, you actually start to meet those people that are making the decisions.
Right.
And so as a young professional, you probably have no idea that some of your opinions would ever be heard by those people. But when you're at networking events and you're kind of just listening to them or you're stating your opinion, sometimes they're going to actually take that into account. So staying on top of local issues, being able to express your opinion and how it's affecting you is extremely important to local leaders. I think they want to hear from all ages, all industry employees, and understand how their decisions are affecting the local community. I also think that if you're networking and you are around seasoned professionals, as I like to say,
Right.
They're going to be able to give you knowledge. And in this, especially in Kern County, knowledge is power. So understanding how things will affect you is important.
So we've talked about some of the groups and things, but let's say I'm trying to gain that knowledge. What are some resources that I can reach out to kind of get some of the knowledge?
Again, the chamber has a great
Right.
policy platform, so you know a lot about that. If there's certain issues like water, oil, healthcare, then the policy platform kind of explains to you what like propositions do and how they affect you, which again, I had no idea even what a proposition really was until kind of getting more involved. I would say if you keep a close eye on the government, the California government website, they probably do some updates. And then just really finding those people in the community that have that niche and just asking them, questioning them. They always have something to say. They're always extremely voiced in local government. They know who is making the decisions, who needs to be making the decisions, how it's going to affect individuals, businesses, industries. It really just depends on what your interests are. I mean, like the local farm bureau, for example, if you're in ag, they're a perfect resource, and they have newsletters that you can sign up for on a regular basis that make things really easy to gain knowledge.
Okay. Well, you mentioned the Twitter and Facebook and whatnot. How would you say that that's changed the way people have interacted with their local government?
Instant access, definitely. So I know that there's a few local community leaders in town that have a Facebook and Twitter, and they're avid users of them, which is shocking. But you can tweet them a message and they're going to get it. And whether they actually are able to utilize that in their daily decision making, it's still a way for you to actually have a voice and be able to reach them.
You didn't have to sit down and write them a letter.
Yes.
You could tweet them.
Yeah, you can tweet
like
them.
that,
No
right?
formal to, from, date, all of that. You don't have to waste the 50 cents or whatnot for a stamp. It's so much easier now. And then also it's easier to gain knowledge. I keep saying gaining knowledge, but really Twitter makes things so much more accessible. Articles, news articles, things coming out of Washington, D.C., Sacramento, local government, all of that is just right at your fingertips. I know I wake up every morning, go through Twitter, and sometimes that's how I will find huge news stories that just hit.
So why is it important when you're gaining this political knowledge? Why is it important to start at the local level? Why focus on city council and board of supervisors rather than just going right to the top?
Well, I know for Kern County, our local leaders do a great job of representing us in Kern County. And unfortunately, Kern County is not the same dynamic as Sacramento or the Bay Area, which has numerous voices that are kind of representing California as a whole. So especially in Kern County, we need to take an active role in supporting and enhancing the voice of our local elected officials. Kern County is very different from the rest of California. We're a very strong resource-based economy, so we have oil, ag, renewable energy now is one of our increasing topics of interest. And so we need to know how our local government is making decisions and then how that may be different from California. Especially recently, we kind of butt heads with Sacramento.
We do, yeah.
And so I think it's important to know at least what our community is representing versus maybe what California is representing. Because if you live and work here, you're going to be more affected by local government.
Right. So you talked a little bit about water and things like that. What are some of the issues that at the Citizens for Sustainable Government, what are some of the issues you guys are looking at in 2015 that are going to really be an impact?
Oil is definitely one. It's going to be the topic of probably any advocacy group throughout Kern County. Oil, of course, as everyone's seen, the gas prices are nice and low, but that also means that jobs are starting to be cut. We're seeing a trickle-down effect all over. So oil industries have done a really good job of keeping their financial structure around volatility. So they're doing okay. But what we're really seeing is those smaller businesses that support the oil industry, they're going to be hit hard. And those are huge industries in Bakersfield and Kern County. So that's definitely an issue to keep in mind of. What we're trying to do with Kern Citizens is educate the community, of course, and then we also want to be kind of a cheerleader and advocate for Kern County in general. So when things are hurting our local industries, then we want to make sure that we're fighting for legislation or local issues that can help support our industries. It's very similar to the chamber. So what we really want to do, though, is be kind of a watchdog for those things. Okay. So we really want to be the bug in some of the local electeds' ears and tell them how it's affecting the industries, or we want to make sure that they're aware that every decision they make has a impact.
Okay. And how do you think that the 2016 elections are going to play a factor? I mean, it's an off-cycle year in 2015, but everybody's looking ahead. How do you think the 2016 elections are going to play a factor here?
Well, and it's definitely an off-cycle for statewide and the Washington, D.C. reps, but it's not necessarily an off year for us locally. So
Right.
we'll have some board of supervisors that'll have to go through the campaign cycle, city council members, of course. And that's something that's really important, because you'll see that as people go through the campaign cycle, their votes may change, or the way they're kind of representing their constituents may change. And so it's always good as a constituent and as somebody who is involved with any type of local governance, is to be a voice. So make sure, even though it's campaign season and the elected officials may not want to ruffle feathers, you may be that person that has a voice that can get them to vote, a certain way. So 2016 is going to obviously be a very hot year for the presidential campaign. We're already seeing tons of
Already
campaigning
seeing
now.
The movement.
And then, of course, we'll have a senator in California that's going to be stepping down. So that'll be a huge issue for us in California.
So real quick, Lauren, before we have to go, how can people get involved with Kern Citizens for Sustainable Government?
They can absolutely give me a call. My number is 661-615-2010. They can always go on our website, kerncitizens.org.org. And I'm always available. I have some great advisory board members who kind of help drive and steer us in the right direction. So having access to us is having access to some great community leaders in town too. So we are always open and willing, and we'll be around throughout all the cycles of government.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to it. So, Lauren Smoot, Kern Citizens for Sustainable Government, thanks very much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. And we'll be right back with more Strictly Business and the closing bell right after this.
If your doctor